Welcome back, everybody. Well, obviously we don't want to throw our speed squares away. They're way too valuable and they're handy to have around. But I'm going to show you today a little jig when using a circular saw that makes it a little bit quicker and a little bit easier just making cross cuts with your saw. So instead of using this, you can use this. All right, here's a little of the geometry behind it. My saw cuts 5 inches from the edge of the plate over to the blade. So when I built this, I just left this long. So when I run my saw through the first time, it would zero me out. So basically, anytime I want to make a cut, I rest my fence against my material. I can measure over to where I want it cut, and then I've got my measurement. There's no need to mark anything on there. So once you bring it over to where you want to cut it, lock it down with your hand, then you can run your saw through there and it's cut perfect 90 because this is set up to a 90-degree angle. Now, the holes, the way I've got it set up, I've cut this one to where I can cut 2x8 material. So this runs out from this fence out 8 inches. So I'm a ½ inch beyond it. But then I've stepped it down to where if I'm cutting a 2x8, I can reach out here and grab this and get a hold of my material. If I want to cut a 2x6, which in this case, here's a 2x6, when I lay it up here, I'm flush here on my 2x6, so I can grab it and secure it that way. And then if I'm only cutting a 2x4, I've got a cut out here to where I can get my hand in here and hold it. Now what I've done with this one is I have set this up to where I could cut 2x4 blocking that would go in between studs that are 16 inches on center. So that measurement's usually 14½ inches. So if I come from this side to this side, I'm at 14½ inches over here to my blade. So we're cutting on the opposite end. The saw's gonna actually be on the off cut. You really wanna be cutting on the other end, but with a hand hold here, we can actually secure it. So if I want to cut blocking with it, you got your material and your jig in your hand so you can make that cut. Now if I wanted to cut smaller blocking, I could probably get this thing down to about a 10-inch block to where I can still get my hand in here and hold my material and make those cuts. But like I say, it's not ideal to be cutting off this end. But if you had to and had to cut 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks, you could easily come under the bottom side, put you a stop on this side, it would come in, slide up against your stop, you could go to town. Obviously, if you were sitting on a cut table to where this end of the material was resting on something, you could make it go pretty quick. Now we've all been there before to where we got a little bitty short piece and we need to cut this off and we want to cut it square, but we don't have nothing to rest this on. And you're out in the middle of the field somewhere and need to cut this off and we'll cut it square. The one thing this gives you the ability to do is you can slide it up here, and with you being able to lock it down, I can take this, hold my material up in the air and get a square cut. Without having anything to rest on. Well, if anybody's ever watched a framing crew, a good, their cut man, a good one, he can run through a stack of lumber in no time flat. I mean, they're just good with a saw. But for an old flunky like me, little old jigs like this come in pretty handy. But I would be curious if there's a cut man out there somewhere that's not used a jig like this, build you one of them and see if it makes you any more efficient. I'm curious to know, but for me, it works good. But the thing you could do with this is you could extend this on out. We could cut 2x12 material. Heck, we could make it for whatever size we wanted. You could cut it to where it was just for 2x4 material if you wanted to. But this one's sort of versatile. It gives you all the way up to a 2x8 and seems to work pretty good. Well, that's gonna wrap this one up. Hopefully that helps somebody. But I've not been able to put many videos out here lately. The weather's just been crummy and we've just had a lot of other stuff going on, but we did get our house plans and hopefully we'll get going on a house here when the weather permits. But I'll make a video here in a couple weeks. There's a place that I went to get my plans drawn and I'll share that with you, but I'll try to put a video out on that here in the coming weeks. But if you watch this one, I appreciate it, and hey, we'll see you later.